Let me take you on a journey through your energy, your truth, and the invisible power that speaks before you do. There is something about you, something quiet but not weak, still but not empty. You walk into a room, and before you say a word, the air shifts. Some people sit up straighter, others look away. A few feel drawn to you, and some feel strangely uncomfortable. But why? Have you ever wondered why your presence affects people so deeply, even when you're not trying? Why strangers feel the need to confess their secrets to you? Why some friends suddenly become distant? Why crowds can make you feel more alone than silence ever could? And why you often sense things before they're said? This isn't about being different for the sake of it. This isn't about ego, status, or pretending to be special. This is about energy. Your aura, the invisible field around you, doesn't lie. It carries everything you've been through, your pain, your healing, your resilience, your clarity, your unspoken truth. And Carl Jung, the father of deep psychology, knew this well. He taught that the unconscious mind isn't just in you, it's in everyone. And when someone stands firmly in their truth, it can disturb the parts of others that are still hiding. Your aura, without effort, becomes a mirror, reflecting everything others don't want to see. That's why people react. Not to you, but to what you awaken inside them. You're not too much. You're not too quiet. You're not too intense. You are simply tuned into a deeper frequency, and those who are disconnected from themselves will feel it. Stay with me till the end of this video, because we're about to walk through 13 quiet, powerful signs that your aura is unsettling to those not ready for it, but also magnetic to those who are. These signs are not personality traits. They are energy markers, symptoms of deep inner work, clues that your soul is walking ahead of your words. And if this already resonates, subscribe to the channel for more journeys like this. And when you reach the end, comment this secret phrase: "My aura speaks before I do." Now let's begin. 1. You intimidate without trying. It's not your face, not your tone, not even your posture. It's something else entirely. A quiet intensity, like a forest in winter. Still, but alive. Cold to some, but deeply calming to others. You don't force your opinions. You don't raise your voice. And yet, people often feel the need to explain themselves around you, to justify their choices, to tell you things you didn't ask to know. That's because your energy holds a kind of mirror, and most people are not ready to see their own reflection. Carl Jung called this the shadow. It's the part of us we deny, repress, or pretend isn't there. When someone meets your grounded presence, your silent awareness, their shadow starts to stir. You didn't mean to make them uncomfortable, but your stillness confronts their chaos. Your clarity touches their confusion. Your honesty pierces through their carefully crafted mask. And masks don't like being seen. That's why you intimidate, not by dominance, but by depth. You speak to the parts of others they haven't yet acknowledged in themselves. And that's not something everyone is ready for. So they pull back, or act distant, or label you as too intense, when really they just can't hide in front of you. But don't dim your energy to make others feel comfortable. Your presence isn't a weapon. It's a light. And sometimes light can feel blinding when someone has lived too long in the dark. And that brings us to the next sign. 2. People confess things to you they've never told anyone. You're sitting next to someone, maybe a stranger, maybe a friend, and suddenly their words spill like a dam breaking. My father never said he loved me. I don't think I'm happy in my marriage. I feel lost, and I don't know why. They whisper these truths into the quiet space your energy creates. And you wonder, why me? Why do people feel so safe opening up around you? Carl Jung believed that when someone embodies their self, the full union of conscious and unconscious, They radiate a wholeness that others feel. Your energy tells people, I won't judge you. I've been through things too. You don't have to pretend here. Your aura doesn't push, it holds. And in a world of noise, that stillness is a rare invitation. You might not realize it, but your calm presence offers people something they're starving for: emotional space. Not advice, not fixing. Just space to be raw, to be human, to be seen. You don't even have to say much. It's your energy that does the listening. And this is not an accident. It's a reflection of your inner integration, the work you've done to face your own emotions, fears, and truth. So when someone feels this frequency in you, their own unconscious responds. The mask slips, the armor softens, and they speak, not because they've been asked, but because your energy feels like a sanctuary, and that's rare. Let's continue. 3. You can walk into a room and sense everything without a word. Before anyone says anything, you feel it. The tension, the unspoken resentments, the one person who's pretending to be okay, the one who truly isn't. You sense it like a temperature shift. Carl Jung called this deep perception the work of the unconscious. The parts of us that are always receiving, even when our conscious mind is still catching up. When your aura is powerful, your energetic field is wide. You pick up subtle shifts, emotions left behind in conversations, the heavy silence someone tried to ignore. You feel it all, sometimes too much. That's why crowds can drain you, why certain people leave you exhausted after just a few minutes, why you often need solitude, not to escape the world, but to return to yourself. Because your aura acts like a sponge. It soaks in what others emit, especially when they're unaware of their own emotional noise. But you've learned to listen to that quiet wisdom. The unease you feel around someone is never just random. It's information, not to judge, but to navigate. Your sensitivity is not weakness. It's radar. And while others may ignore the energetic storm, you feel the thunder before it hits. So trust your inner signal. It's not paranoia, it's perception. And that leads us gently into the next sign. 4. You trigger insecurities. Simply by being yourself, you're just being you. You speak with kindness. You hold your truth softly. You don't brag. You don't belittle. You're not even trying to shine. And yet, some people seem to recoil. They might gossip behind your back. They might roll their eyes when you speak, or give you that subtle energy of, you think you're better than us, even though you've never said or acted that way. It hurts. It confuses. It makes you question, did I do something wrong? But Carl Jung would offer another lens. You are simply being an authentic self. And when someone lives behind a persona for too long, your authenticity feels like a spotlight exposing their disguise. Jung spoke of the persona, the mask we wear to survive social life. But behind that mask often hides the shadow, the rejected self. When your energy walks in without pretending, it reminds others of what they've hidden. Their own unlived truth, their own unspoken dreams, their own fear of being seen as they really are. So no, you didn't trigger them on purpose. But your beingness stirred something sleeping inside them. It's not you they're upset with. It's the parts of themselves they're not ready to face. Your aura, strong as it is, doesn't ask for permission to exist. It just is. And that kind of presence disturbs those who rely on external approval to feel real. But here's the deeper truth. Your energy is not the enemy, it's the reminder. You remind others, even silently, that there is another way to live. That honesty doesn't need to be loud. That softness can be strong. That alignment is possible. And while some won't be ready for it, others will find you and feel like they've finally come home. Let's move gently forward. 5. You attract deep souls and wounded ones. There's something magnetic about your presence. People who are emotionally deep, introspective, spiritual, they're drawn to you like a quiet fire on a cold night. But you've also noticed something else. Those who are deeply wounded, emotionally lost, in need of healing. They find you too. Sometimes it's beautiful, a connection, a resonance, a healing moment shared. But sometimes it becomes heavy. You end up carrying burdens that aren't yours, trying to be someone's savior, or slowly shrinking to keep someone else afloat. Carl Jung taught that the healer archetype often awakens in those who have faced their own darkness. And your aura, whether you realize it or not, carries the signature of someone who has been through something and survived it. People feel this in you. The healed feel safe, the unhealed feel hope. But some begin to lean too hard, pulling from your energy instead of finding their own. This is why boundaries are essential, not because your light should be hidden, but because not everyone who's drawn to your energy will know how to respect it. You can love without rescuing, you can guide without absorbing, and you can hold space without losing yourself in it. Let your aura remain open, but sacred. And now, 6. Silence feels comfortable to you, but unnerving to others. You don't rush to fill empty space. You're not afraid of pauses in conversation. In fact, silence feels like home. It's where you listen. It's where you breathe. It's where you hear the whispers beneath the words. But have you noticed? Silence makes some people nervous. They fidget. They laugh awkwardly. They blurt out whatever comes to mind just to break it. Why? Because silence is a mirror, and most people are running from what it shows them. Carl Jung believed that true transformation begins in the stillness, when the ego quiets and the unconscious has room to rise. Your aura is comfortable in this space, because you've walked through the inner noise before. You've sat with your own shadows. You've made peace with your inner world. So, when you sit in silence, you're not being passive, you're holding presence. But for those who have not yet met their own silence, yours can feel overwhelming. They feel exposed, unsettled, as if your quiet is too loud. But don't change that about yourself. Silence is a gift, not an absence. And your comfort with it is a rare kind of strength. The world needs less noise, and more people like you, who know how to hold space without trying to fix or fill it. And from this stillness, we flow into the next. 7. You make people feel seen, even when they didn't want to be. You look at someone, and they feel it, not in a loud, invasive way, but in that soft, unshakable way that makes them pause. Because your gaze carries no judgment, but it doesn't carry permission to hide either. You see things others overlook. A flicker in the eyes, a slight hesitation in the voice, the quiet way someone avoids their own truth. And when you notice, they feel noticed. Some lean in, they open up, soften, even cry. But others recoil, because being seen, truly seen, is not always comfortable. Especially when someone has spent years mastering the art of invisibility behind smiles, noise, or busyness. Carl Jung wrote that the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. When someone stands in front of you, they feel that invitation to be raw, to be real, to stop performing. And if they're not ready to face themselves, they'll turn away from you too. Your aura doesn't just notice people, it feels them. Your presence can see through layers they haven't dared peel back themselves. That's why some people call you intense. Not because you speak loudly, but because your presence makes hiding impossible. You don't do this to expose anyone. You don't even try. But you are a light, and light always reveals. You offer what Jung described as individuation, a call to wholeness. But not everyone wants that call. Some are still in love with the mask, still finding comfort in the performance, so they walk away. Not from you, but from their own reflection in your presence. And you must let them. Because being seen is a choice. You can hold the mirror, but they must decide to look. And that leads us quietly to the next truth. 8. You feel everything too deeply. even the things left. Unsaid, there's a conversation happening in every room, but it's not always spoken. It's the tone beneath the words, the glance that lingers just a second too long, the smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes. Most people don't notice it, but you do. You feel it in your body, in the tightening of your chest, in the sudden weight behind your eyes, in the ache that appears when you walk away from someone who was pretending everything was fine. This is not imagination. It's energetic literacy. Carl Jung believed that the unconscious is not limited to the individual. We are all connected through a deeper field of shared experience. When your aura is powerful, that field becomes more alive, more sensitive. You don't just read people. You absorb them, their grief, their joy, their loneliness, even when wrapped in laughter. You've likely had moments where you cried and didn't know why, where you felt drained after being in someone's presence, where your body responded to pain that wasn't even yours. This is energetic empathy, a gift, but also a burden if left unmanaged. You see, your aura is like a tuning fork, and when you walk into an emotionally noisy space, it hums with every frequency around you. But you've learned, or are learning, to ground yourself, to let the feelings pass through, not into. Because feeling deeply is not a curse. It's a compass. It shows you what's real. It guides you to truth. And it protects you from being numb in a world that often rewards disconnection. So when others call you too sensitive, smile gently. Because in that sensitivity lies your strength, a strength most don't yet understand. Let's keep going. 9. You're often misunderstood. Not because you're confusing, but because you're clear. You speak gently, but with depth. You express yourself with calm honesty. And still, people misunderstand you. They twist your words. They assume meanings you never implied. They respond with confusion, defensiveness, or even distance. And you wonder, am I hard to understand? But here's the truth. You're not confusing. You're clear. Too clear for those who rely on illusions to navigate their lives. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." When you speak from that place of truth, it often sounds like a different language to those still speaking from wounds, masks, or ego. You communicate from your center, from a place beyond performance. And that energy doesn't just share ideas, it transmits clarity. But clarity is a mirror, and mirrors can be threatening when someone isn't ready to see themselves, so they misinterpret you. Not because you were unclear, but because their perception was clouded. You may feel like a stranger in many rooms. Not because you're distant, but because you don't play the roles others are used to. You don't gossip. You don't fake. You don't over-explain. You just speak truth and trust that those who are meant to hear it will, and those who aren't will drift. But you must keep being real, because realness, over time, becomes the compass others didn't know they needed. And as that clarity expands, it naturally leads us into the next sign. 10. Your presence changes the energy of a room. Without you saying a word, you walk in and something shifts. People sit up. The air feels different. Some may smile, some may grow quiet. A few may glance your way without knowing why. And you've felt it too. That almost invisible moment when the atmosphere bends around your arrival. But it's not about looks, not about charisma. It's not even about confidence in the way the world defines it. It's your field, your aura, that speaks first, before you ever open your mouth. Carl Jung believed that our unconscious energies are always at play, even if we don't consciously recognize them. And when someone has spent time integrating their shadow, their wounds, and their truth, their energy becomes charged with something rare. Presence. Your presence carries the frequency of someone who has met themselves. Someone who has faced darkness, learned stillness, and no longer needs to perform for approval. That kind of energy is unmistakable. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand. It doesn't need validation. It simply is. And because it is, it creates contrast. When you enter a room, the masks become heavier on those still wearing them. The noise becomes louder for those trying to drown themselves in it. Your silence becomes pressure. Your calm becomes disruption. Not because you did anything wrong, but because you reminded the room of something real, and realness, even in silence, is powerful. It doesn't take up space. It creates space, a space where people start questioning themselves, where things buried begin to stir, where truth begins to crack through small talk. You're not trying to be mysterious. You're not seeking attention. You're simply embodied. And embodiment, in a world that rewards disconnection, is deeply unsettling to those who have never felt safe in their own skin. But don't shrink. Don't apologize for the frequency you carry. You didn't steal it. You earned it through healing, through heartbreak, through walking through fire without losing your softness. You change the energy in the room because your energy is clear. And clarity always echoes louder than chaos. Let's move on. 11. You're often the one. Others call during their darkest nights, but rarely in their light. The phone rings. A message arrives. I didn't know who else to call. Can I talk to you? I just needed someone who would understand. It's 1 a.m., or right after a breakup, or when the world has collapsed around them. And somehow, they always think of you, because your energy, your presence, your stillness feels like home when theirs is falling apart. You've held space for others in ways they'll never fully realize. You've been the shoulder, the silence, the soft voice that didn't try to fix, just listened. Carl Jung understood this role deeply. He believed that the wounded healer archetype emerges in those who've survived deep suffering and found meaning in their own pain. You've likely known heartbreak, grief, loneliness so quiet it rang in your bones. And instead of turning cold, you turned inward. You made something sacred from your wounds. And now, that sacred energy is felt by others, even if they never say it out loud. But here's the ache. Once they feel better, they often drift. You're rarely the one they call to celebrate. You're not invited to the surface-level fun, the loud parties, the victories. You become a sanctuary they visit in storms, but forget in sunshine. And that can hurt, because you give love with depth, not convenience. And sometimes it feels like your depth is only wanted when shallow waters run dry. But please know this, your energy is not disposable. It's sacred. Not everyone knows how to honor sacred things. Keep shining your light, but protect it too. Let people come. Let them go. You are not a lifeboat for those who only remember you when they're drowning. You are a lighthouse, constant, still, glowing from within. Let's continue. 12. You often feel lonely, but never alone. You can be surrounded by people and still feel separate, detached, as if you're watching life from behind an invisible veil. It's not that you don't love people, you do. You care deeply, you connect soulfully. But you don't belong everywhere. You've always sensed that your path was different. Even in childhood, there were moments you felt elsewhere, like your thoughts were heavier, your feelings deeper, your silence louder. Carl Jung called this the path of individuation, becoming who you truly are, separate from the collective expectations of society. This path is lonely, because few walk it. But it's never truly alone, because in your solitude, you find connection with something far greater. Your inner world becomes rich, your intuition sharpens, your dreams speak, and your relationship with your own soul becomes the most meaningful one of all. You may not have crowds, you may not have dozens of friends, but the few who truly see you, they are enough. And even in solitude, you feel connected to every soul who's ever searched for meaning in silence. You don't fear being alone, because your inner world is alive. You've befriended your darkness, and now you walk with your light. Which brings us to the final and most powerful truth. 13. Your aura was forged in the fire, not born from the ego. There's a quiet truth inside you, one that doesn't need to be shouted, because it lives in every step you take, every breath, every time you choose compassion over anger, boundaries over approval, and truth over comfort. You didn't wake up with this energy. You earned it. Through nights you thought would never end. Through pain that reshaped you in silence. Through loneliness that introduced you to your own soul. Your aura didn't come from being better. It came from being broken and rebuilding again and again. Carl Jung taught that the strongest presence doesn't come from the ego. It comes from the one who has met the shadow, held it, and integrated it into the light. You've met your fears. You've cried behind smiles. You've stood in rooms full of people and felt like no one saw you. And you didn't let that break you. You carried your wounds like sacred stories. You learned to sit with your sadness without becoming it. You looked into the mirror when it hurt the most and didn't look away. This is the foundation of your aura. It's not sparkle. It's not performance. It's not some high-vibe illusion. It's truth. It's scars turned into symbols. It's pain alchemized into presence. When you walk into a room, the unconscious of others feels all of this, even if they don't understand it. They feel your stillness, forged in storms. They feel your softness, shaped through survival. They feel your power, not because it dominates, but because it endures. You disturb not because you want to, but because you exist as a reminder that it's possible to feel deeply and not drown, that it's possible to be broken and still become whole, that it's possible to live in truth without needing permission. Your aura speaks of the journey, of what happens when a soul refuses to stay hidden, when a person chooses to be real, no matter the cost. And those who are still avoiding themselves will flinch in your light. But others, those searching, yearning, awakening, will find you. And in your presence, they will remember something ancient within themselves, something sacred, something true. Because your aura doesn't just disturb, it awakens. Final reflection. If you've made it here, then you already know this truth. You're not like everyone else. You never have been. And maybe that used to hurt. Maybe it still does sometimes. But now, it's becoming your gift. You're learning to walk as yourself, unapologetically. You're letting go of shrinking, hiding, and performing. You're allowing your energy to be what it is, without needing everyone to understand it. Carl Jung once said, "The collective unconscious reacts to what it hasn't yet integrated." And you are what some have not yet integrated, your light, your depth, your clarity. It makes waves in waters that were never still. But don't stop, don't dim. The world doesn't need more people who fit in. It needs more souls brave enough to be, exactly as they are, and you are one of them. Let your aura disturb, let it awaken, let it speak. Because somewhere, someone is waiting for exactly the kind of light you carry. If this touched something in you, if you felt seen, heard, or quietly understood, then you're not alone. Subscribe to this channel, not just to support the content, but to stay connected to this quiet, soulful space where you can always come back to yourself. And now, your silent password. Comment. My aura speaks before I do. Let me know you stayed, that you felt this. And if no one told you today, your presence matters. Your energy is felt. You are not alone on this path. This is your soul's gentle reminder. You don't have to try so hard to be seen. Because the real ones feel you long before you speak. Let that be enough. Let you be enough. I see you. And I'll meet you in the next story we walk together.